Chatterbox. I'm rising up with the sun to worship you. I'm rising up, your glory. I'm rising into your glory to worship you. I'm rising up. To sing your praise. I'm rising up with the sun. I'm rising up with the sun to sing your praise. Morning, everybody. Lovely to be here this morning to try and, turn our minds again to the Lord. I was up early this morning in the sanctuary, the Sentinel, watching the sun rising and thinking, well, another day. Beautiful, so very beautiful is the Lord. Beautiful, so very beautiful is the Lord. Beautiful, 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 so beautiful is the Lord. And he is, isn't he? These songs, you see, are... morning, David. These songs are soft. The colours are pastel. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful colour. Sometimes the Lord is very pastel, soft, gentle, and I feel that this morning. I was having watched the sun come up this morning and see the beautiful colours, you know, the slow changing colour of the sky. And that's how I feel this morning. And the pastel colours of worship, you know, they're very soothing. And they just take away the edges. You are beautiful, more beautiful than the sky you made and the clouds floating by and the colours of the sun. You are more beautiful. The creation that you made reflects your beauty. The clouds and the sky and the wind and the rain, everything shows us you are beautiful. These colours in worship are very soothing too. Beautiful, so very beautiful, beautiful is the Lord. As I said earlier this week, lots of colours in worship, and this morning the colours are pastel, they're soft in my worship this morning. And sometimes, you know, I love these colours because they're very soothing to me as a person. I'm quite a lot of struggle in my life, and these colours soothe. You know, this was seeing the sky change from black to slightly dark black, and then a deep blue, and then a lighter blue, then the streaks of light and everything. And this pastel sort of feeling came over me, and it comes into the worship this morning for me. And I just, I love, it's kind of very, it's the artist putting the final touches to the picture, and I love these colours. And so I was singing them before you started, and so I just carried on. And I hope those who are watching, feel that soft loveliness. It's not soft soggy, soft soppy. It's not that at all. It's not that sort of spongy, oh God is lovely, everything's lovely, that kind of thing. No. It's just entering into the pastel colours of heaven, flowing from his beautiful myriad of colours. I think it's true that pianists see music in a million colours, but I think in worship we can see dozens of colours. I see hundreds of them. And I tend to go down whichever one calls to me, because that's the active one. That's the skill, I think, of a worship leader, is finding which colour is active and, taking people down it. Don't necessarily have to know, but here we are. Lovely, isn't it? Gentle this morning. I tend to sing to us whatever the Lord sings to me. That's how we do live stream, isn't it? 5 to 8. I say to us whatever the Lord said to me. That's good. Abraham, we're going to finish him today, because I think we might pick up another character next week. It's good to change. Struggling with his vision. That's what he's been doing. We haven't looked at the great things he's done. There are many great things he's done, and all the things he done, the Bible says, were counted to him as righteousness. There's a challenge. But we've been looking at his struggle, to believe that at the age of 100, God could fulfill his promise to him. And this is something that Christians struggle with all the time. Can God really do what he said he would do? So Abraham struggled and struggled and struggled. In chapter 17, God said to Abraham, verse 15, as for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai, her name is to be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her, so she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. She's only about 90-something now, by the way. Verse 17, Abraham fell face down. He laughed to himself and he said, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? Oh, there we are, at the age of 90. And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Lots of things there. Honest, I found laughing at the promises of God doesn't go down well upstairs. Puzzling with them, struggling with them, but laughing at them. Abraham taking a risk here. But you see, it's the same old problem. He just can't believe the promise. You can understand him. Well, maybe smiling would have been better. I'm 100 and she's 90. You really think, this can actually be me? Do you know, really, honestly, let's be straight, God. This is not possible. That's the thing. This is not possible. Interesting that Mary asked the same question, but not with the same heart. She just said, how can this be? I'm a virgin. And the answer from Gabriel, with God, nothing is impossible. So you see, in a way, she's reacting in a negative way to God's promise, but not with cynical laughter, just saying, I don't understand how you can do this. Not, oh, you can't do this. That was Zechariah. Oh, right. Abraham is a very flawed character, and he can't believe the promise of God. This is his problem. He cannot believe that God can keep his promise. And here we are. So now in verse 18, the Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he rushed out and he offered them Eastern hospitality, which is what we'd expect of him. And we see that in Ghana. We get African hospitality whenever we turn up. And so he gives them a meal and sets before them. And while they were ate, he stood near them by the tree to serve them. Okay, that's fine. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. Now, how did they know his wife was called Sarah? See, sometimes you've got to watch the Bible. Little things slip by without you noticing. How did they know? If that had been me, and some men turned up, and I'm, offering them lunch, and they said, "Where's Mary?" I go, "How do you know my wife's called Mary?" No, he doesn't say anything. Yeah, he says they're in the tent, and one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Oh, it is again. Abraham must have gone, "Oh, again? Oh, for the 6 millionth time." Now, we're going to get an insight into something else that's going on here, and it's very, very important to understand this, that believing in the promises of God is a double-handed thing. In Abraham's case, there are two people involved. And Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. So she laughed to herself as she thought, "Am I worn out and my Lord is old? Will I now have this pleasure?" Abraham and Sarah, we want to call you over and say, listen, you can have a problem with the promises of God, but laughing isn't part of it. You may struggle, you may doubt, you may have agonies in your heart, but you don't laugh. This is dangerous ground, Abraham and Sarah. I'm surprised that God didn't withdraw your promise. He doesn't take kindly. He doesn't mind us doubting. We doesn't like it, but doesn't mind it. But when we laugh at him, gee, that's dangerous ground. Anyway, she laughs. Then the Lord said to Abraham, "So now, this is the truth. These three men, one of them is the Lord." So this is the one that's been making the promise all these years. The one that's been making his promise. He says, "Why does Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?'" Now remember, what Gabriel said was nothing is impossible with God. What the Lord is saying here is anything too hard for the Lord. This is where Abraham has come unstuck. We're now at the heart of it. It isn't to do with a child. It isn't to do with a promise. It's to do with the fact that Abraham cannot believe that God can do anything. That's where he's stuck. And loads of Christians in the 21st century are stuck in the same place. They cannot believe that God can do what he said he would do. Oh, we give lip service to it. Oh, I will obey the Lord with all my heart. I see it all the time. Until he says, do this. And then we get that's not possible. I can't do that. It is almost endemic. It's like a COVID in the heart of the church, that what God asks for cannot be done. Now, is anything too hard for the Lord, he says here. Nothing is impossible with God, he says to Mary. They're thousands of years apart. Nothing is impossible for him. So when he gives a promise, having this attitude is not acceptable. You may doubt. You may struggle. You may go, "I just don't see how I can possibly go to number 10 Downing Street and speak to the Prime Minister. I can't possibly fly to America and speak to President Biden. That's impossible." You may struggle with it. You may doubt with it. But you are not allowed to tell God what he can't do. And that's what Abraham and Sarah have been doing. It's been a double-handed problem. In fact, it was Sarah that led Abraham into sin with Hagar. So you see, it's a double problem. The husband and the wife together could not believe that what God had promised he could do. We are at the heart of Abraham's life now. Now, there's loads of good things he's done. I haven't concentrated on those this week. I just pick out one theme. We're at the heart of it. When God appeared to Abraham and said in Genesis 12, "I will make a great nation of you." We've gone through 20 years of Abraham not being able to believe it. Because he couldn't believe. He could not believe that God could do this. Because what stood in the way was an impossibility. Sarah at 90 and him at 100 having a child. Let's not muck about. That is fundamentally impossible. But not with God. And that's what Abraham didn't grasp. And nor did Sarah. Both of them did not grasp that when God makes a promise, he is able to keep it. He doesn't need us to tell him what to do, nor to give him a hand. Our job is to take hold of whatever promise he's given to us and run with it. impossible though it may seem. And to our astonishment, much more will be accomplished than we thought. Remember, in heaven, it's obedience that gets the Victoria Cross, not success. I shall say to the Lord when I stand before him, I didn't do this and I didn't do this and didn't do this, but I wanted to. I tried to, I couldn't get it done. That's like Ghana really, isn't it? I can't get it done. You know, I can't get through to them what they need to hear. So in a way, I failed to fulfill my promise, but I'll say to the Lord, I tried my utmost to fulfill it. That's all I could do. Hi Sandra, that's all I could do. I tried to fulfill your promise. Now let's learn from Abraham and Sarah. Another joy is, of course, that God fulfilled his promise to them. And they did have a child. And so they must have looked back and gone, gee whiz, we really should have, had more faith in him. And it goes on from there, and then much more still to come. But the heart of their life's problem was that they couldn't believe that God could fulfill the promises he made. That is the root of their problem. And in the end, the Lord had to appear to them himself and tell them, stop mucking about. You're going to have the child. I told you you would, and he did. Now let's not make that mistake, shall we? We all struggle with obeying God, whatever level that may be at. You may be called to go and become a mission to China or just live for Christ in your street. It doesn't matter where God has placed you. We all struggle with doing what he said. That's okay. Struggling with his promise is all right. It's in the struggle that we grow. You see, I go to a lot of football, as you know, and you see a young player come into the team, and for probably a whole season he struggles. He's always in the wrong place, and he fumbles the ball, and he doesn't see where he should pass it, and he misses the goal, and it's a right shambles. But in that struggle, as we have watched at the Amex, good players emerge. It's out of that struggle to be a good footballer that good players emerge. So struggling with the promises, that's fine. But suggesting that God can't do them, that's not acceptable. Is anything too hard for the Lord? That was the Lord's word to Abraham. Nothing is impossible with God. God's word to Mary. Let's make that our word today. And that way we redeem some of Abraham's struggle. Hallelujah. Yeah, I find Abraham very encouraging. I really do, because that's me. I find Moses very encouraging because that's me, really. It's just I totter along and I don't know. Sometimes I seem to be a great, fiery Christian. Other times I feel like I'm ashes that have gone out. I can't sort of veer between the two. But Abraham says, it's all right, Michael, don't worry. Just hang on. You'll get there. And I think Moses would say the same. Michael, don't chuck your hat in just because you screwed up. Or Peter, Michael, don't, it's okay. Okay, so it was a screw up. Okay, well, we can get through this. I got through it, says Peter. Yeah, so did I, said Moses. Me too, says Abraham. So I'm so encouraged by these fractured people. Isn't the Bible great, telling us exactly how we are? Lord, sometimes it gets very hard to walk in your footsteps. They seem so big, and I have such little strength. Don't be afraid, you said. Press on with me. When it gets too tough, I will carry you. Isn't that lovely? And I think I've been through plenty of those times where it's just got too tough for me. Lord, sometimes it gets very hard to walk in your footsteps. They seem so big, and I have such little strength. Don't be afraid, you said. Press on with me. When it gets tough, I'll carry you. And I've had to be carried many times. I can assure you of that. People, I think, well, they look on the outside, forget it. I'm struggling just like you. And I wrote a series of poems called Little Flower about this kind of thing. And there's a couple of them here this morning. When the storm comes to my garden, my little flower, so delicate, is beaten down. Then the gardener comes. "Oh dear," he says, and puts his hands around me. In the warmth of that love, I begin to grow again. It's nice, isn't it, really? I just, I saw myself, I often write these little flower poems. I saw myself as a little flower, in the garden when the storm comes to my garden. My little flower, me, so delicate, is beaten down. I'm often beaten down. Then the gardener comes. "Oh dear," he says, and puts his hands around me. And in the warmth of that love, I begin to grow again. Do you know, there's captured there something that's been fundamental to my Christian life. And it's this. I've been a Christian 73 years and 11 months. I believe at my baptism, my infant baptism, 6 weeks after I was born or thereabouts, somebody in that service said, "I want this young baby to serve you, Lord." Because I trace back my understandings of him to there. And it's been a long walk, 73 years and 11 months or whatever it is. In all those times, I have never heard him angry with me. Because that's not his way. He doesn't beat us down. That's the way of the gods of other religions. I've read all their texts. That's what I have to do. And what strikes me about them is how harsh the gods of other faiths are. But the Lord, never. I have made so many mistakes and so many errors in my life that if he had any sense, he'd fire me. I wouldn't blame him at all. Honestly, I wouldn't. But I've never, ever, ever found anything else than, then the gardener comes. "Oh dear," he says, and puts his hands around me. I've never experienced anything else but that. Because that is the nature of God, to love, not to beat down. And he doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it. He just goes, "Oh, okay, Michael, you seem to be in a bit of a spot here. Oh, let's see what we can do." And I go, "Well, I've got myself in it." "Yeah, well, maybe, but yeah, but Lord, I've done this wrong." Yeah. But let's, Michael, come on, let's see if we can sort this out. And the classic case for me was when Philip died, and about a month after that, we were offered one of these holiday homes in Hoyk, and we went. And one morning I went out, and it was misty and raining, and I walked down the hill to the river at the bottom, and I let God have it in every possible word you can imagine. I was so angry, so angry that he let me down. It was everything. All you imagine. Well, I mean, I worked on the shop floor and in tough places, so I know all the language, and I let him have all of it. And I threw stones in the river, and I was so angry, and the air turned blue, and I think I even sat in the river. I can't remember. I was so angry that 20 minutes, this poured out of me, this anger and all this bad words and everything. Finally, I ran out. I ran out of steam. And then I said, "Oh Lord, I'm so sorry." And he said, "Michael, that's okay. Do you feel better now that you've got that?" "Yeah," I said, "but all the things I said about you, don't worry about those." "Yeah, but no. You know what friends are for? Isn't it to friends that you tell the whole truth in any words you want?" "Yeah, well, it's okay then. It's okay. Let's move on, see what we can do together." I mean, that's if the Lord can cope with me in that kind of mood, really anybody else would have just, but not him. "Oh dear," said the gardener, "you do seem to be beaten down. Let me see. I'll put my hands around you and you should be okay." Sometimes hope seems so far away. My tiny craft is lost on a sea too big for me. I am small and frail. But then I see you walking, calling, and I know there is some hope for me. I am not cast adrift, but moving ever closer to my harbour, where, in peace I can stay forever. And so I sail on, frail, but hoping that one day morning Pat, morning Heather, sorry I didn't see you there. Well, here we are. It's been a bit of a reflective morning, hasn't it? I sensed that when I began to sing in pastel colours. But you know, Chatterbox is just that, Chatterbox. Anything and anything will come up. And anything that comes up, I will promise you, I will give you. Little flower hides, tucked into the heart of God, waiting for the day. Warmed by love's sunshine, its leaves begin to blossom, shining with his joy. Then comes the flowering in his garden of the world. Little flower, fulfilled forever. Good, isn't it? Well, thank you for watching this morning. Been a bit of a strange morning, hasn't it? As I said, once I start singing in pastel colours, I think I know where I'm going. Thank you for being with me all this week. Thank you for those that are starting to post on live chat. It does make a massive difference to me. I know one or two are struggling how to do it. You have to come into live chat through the live link that I post, not through scheduled events that you might find on the YouTube page. You have to come in through live link, and that way you can post. We'll get there. So, what a lovely week we've had chatting together. And so we're not on. Don't do Saturday and Sunday Chatterbox. So we're back on Monday morning, chatting away. And I hope you like the way the day starts. I do anyway. So now it's time for the Facebook live stream. So as always, if you're in the Facebook family, could you come across to Facebook? If you're not, please stay with us on YouTube and enjoy. So next up for us will be, well, Saturday morning, it's be Facebook live stream. Sunday morning, 8:30 for our worship. I wonder what colour we're worshipping on Sunday morning, and then the message to follow. I come on at 8:20 and talk a little about worship first. You might fancy that. Quite a lot of people come on to the worship. There's about 10 or 12 of us live and about 50 of us afterwards in catch-up. So it's quite nice. So if you're free and if you're on YouTube, don't forget, press that subscribe button. God bless you. And so now let's switch over to Facebook. Oh, I've rattled on a bit longer this morning. I would have rattled on a lot longer, I think. But there we are. Just trying to get that phone. Here we are. So there we are. Let's see what the Facebook family have to say. Yeah. Oh. All right. Let's change guitars for them. So let's change guitars for them.